A 72-year-old woman wakes up, rolls over in bed, and suddenly the entire room violently spins out of control. The sensation returns only under highly specific conditions, turning her head to the right while horizontal, or tilting her head back to reach a high shelf. Each episode is terrifying, but self-limiting. The spinning consistently resolves in under 1 minute. Between episodes, she feels entirely normal. There is no ringing in her ears, no hearing loss, and absolutely no pain. Looking at her chart, a critical piece of history stands out. She spent 10 days flat on her back recovering from a right hip replacement. These historical constraints, the brief duration, the positional trigger, and the lack of auditory symptoms, provide the mechanical coordinates required to isolate the pathology. Vertigo signals a spatial mismatch between the inner ear, the eyes, and the brain, rather than acting as a standalone diagnosis. The immediate priority is to determine if this mismatch originates from a lethal central nervous system event, like a cerebellar stroke. The alternative is a peripheral anomaly, a localized mechanical failure completely isolated within the inner ear apparatus. By applying pure biomechanics at the bedside, we can deconstruct her presentation, rule out a central lesion, map the fluid dynamics of her vestibular system, and execute a physical cure. Ultimately, resolving this condition focuses entirely on correcting a fluid dynamics problem through the strict application of physics. This clinical decision tree maps our diagnostic path, starting with the duration of the attacks. Vestibular neuritis causes continuous, spontaneous vertigo lasting for days. This presentation represents a direct violation of our patient's strict under 60-second constraint. The second branch point relies on the patient's audiological status. Meniere's disease requires fluctuating hearing loss and a distinct feeling of oral fullness. This patient's hearing is pristine. Next, we evaluate her blood pressure dynamics when moving to a standing position. Orthostatic hypotension is unlikely here. Her episodes are triggered specifically by the angle of her head relative to gravity, rather than the cardiovascular demand of standing up. Applying these historical constraints leaves exactly one active path on our diagnostic tree, a localized mechanical fault known as benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, or BPPV. To confirm BPPV, we use the gold standard mechanical provocation test, the Dix-Hallpike maneuver. The clinician turns the patient's head 45 degrees toward the affected side, then rapidly drops them backward until their head hangs just over the edge of the examination table. Looking inside the inner ear during this drop, we can track the rotation of the vestibular apparatus, focusing directly on the utricle and the posterior semicircular canal. This is where her prolonged bed rest becomes highly relevant. Extended immobility allowed microscopic calcium carbonate crystals, called otoconia, to detach from the utricle and collect near the opening of the posterior canal. As the head drops backward into the dependent position, gravity seizes these free-floating crystals, dragging them down the descending arc of the canal. These falling crystals act like a plunger. They drag the endolymph fluid along their path, generating an abnormal current that crashes directly into the cupula, the physical sensor at the end of the canal. The physical deflection of the cupula artificially stimulates the superior vestibular nerve. It sends an intense, erroneous signal to the brain, insisting the head is in a state of rapid rotation. The Dix-Hallpike maneuver uses gravity to force this hidden debris into motion, reliably producing a diagnostic fluid wave. When the brain receives this false vestibular signal, its immediate reflex is to uncontrollably twitch the eyes to compensate, a phenomenon called nystagmus. This diagram displays the exact vector geometry of the posterior canal. Because it is hardwired directly to the ipsilateral superior oblique and inferior rectus muscles, the resulting nystagmus will beat upward and twist toward the affected ear. The twitching takes between 1 and 5 seconds to start after the head drops. This latency is simply the time required for gravity to overcome the physical inertia of the heavy crystals in the fluid. The episode always ends before 60 seconds because the crystals reach the physical bottom of the canal. Once they settle, the fluid stops moving, the cupula returns to neutral, and the false signal terminates. Repeating the maneuver weakens the response. Successive drops scatter the clumped crystals, resulting in a weaker fluid wave and a progressively less intense eye twitch. If a patient's nystagmus changes direction, lacks a delay, or fails to fatigue, the mechanical canal model is broken. That indicates a central brain lesion, which requires immediate neuroimaging. With the canalithiasis confirmed, we execute the definitive cure, the Epley maneuver. This is a 4-step mechanical procedure that resolves the condition without medication or surgery. As shown in this 3D model, the Epley uses carefully timed 90-degree head rotations to guide the trapped crystals through the remaining curve of the canal and eject them back into the utricle where they belong. Despite the high success rate of repositioning, a persistent clinical error is the reflexive prescription of vestibular suppressants, like meclizine or diazepam for positional vertigo. These medications numb the central nervous system's ability to compensate and mask the mechanical blockage without affecting the underlying calcium crystals. This significantly increases the risk of falls in elderly patients. Current clinical guidelines are highly restrictive here. Because BPPV is a proven mechanical defect, ordering an MRI in the absence of central neurological red flags is an active waste of diagnostic resources. The presence of a physical obstruction in the canal necessitates a mechanical flush rather than chemical suppression. To lock in this diagnostic profile for clinical practice and board exams, rely on the rocks heuristic. Rolling in bed triggers the vertigo. Otoconia are the displaced crystals. Canal posterior is the primary location. Keep it short, under 60 seconds. Sounds okay, meaning no hearing loss. Master the biomechanics of the inner ear. Trust the rigorous physical constraints of the bedside exam. And when the mechanics align, cure the patient with applied physics.